Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we will make a top down granny stitch sweater. I'll be using this yarn. It is 100% cotton yarn and I'll work it with a 4mm crochet hook. The only measurement that you need to take for this sweater is a tight measurement around your neck. So take the measurement around your neck very tight, yeah, and then multiply the result by 2. Begin with 5 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the second chain make a single crochet and repeat single crochets in all the other chains. At the end you should have 4 stitches. Well, after that, chain 1, turn the work and do back loops only. So go into the back loop, make a single crochet, next stitch the same thing, back loop, single crochet, until you get to the end. Yeah, so back loop, single crochet in the 4 stitches. Alright, chain 1, turn the work and do back loop single crochets again. Again, chain 1, turn and repeat back loop single crochets again. So repeat back loop single crochets until you get the neck measurement multiplied by 2. So for example, my neck measurement is 30 centimeters. Multiplying it by 2 gives me 60 centimeters. But please pay attention and make sure that your total number of rows is a multiple of 4. That is very important for the granny stitch pattern that we are going to use. I made 100 rows. Now I will chain 1 and join the 2 edges together. To join them we will use back loop slip stitch. So go through the first stitch, go through the back loop of it, then try to get also the back loop on the other side and make a slip stitch. Next stitch the same thing, so go through the back loop, also try to get the back loop on the other side and slip stitch, and repeat that in the other 2 stitches. Chain 1 and flip the work so that the wrong side is inside, and now we will do single crochets in every row. So in this first row here, 1 single crochet, next row 1 single crochet, and you will realize that your rows are like 1 in a valley, 1 on a hill. What I mean is, like this one, this row right here is falling in what I'm calling the valley, right? And the next one is on this higher side, which is what I call the hill. So 1 single crochet in every row, you go across like that until you get to the end. At the end, after the last single crochet, slip stitch into the first stitch. Now that we have this round circle, you have to decide where to place the arms, the sleeves, and where to place the front and the back panels. This will involve a little bit of math. Even if you are not a fan of mathematics, please bear with me. I will make it very simple. And what I'm actually trying to do is to make sure that everyone can reproduce the sweater, no matter the type of yarn that you're using, no matter the size of your hook, and no matter your size, like whether you are a size S, size M, or 2XL, you should be able to reproduce the sweater based on the indication that I'm going to give right now. To explain the pattern that we are going to use, first thing important to note is that our sweater will have 4 main parts. So 2 arms, 1 front panel, and 1 back panel. And the 4 parts will be separated by, let's say, 4 points where we'll create some V stitches. So the V stitches will create the separation from 1 arm to 1 panel. Roughly speaking, let's say I'll place 1 arm somewhere here and then another arm around here. So it means that we have something like this. So this will be the back panel, front panel, and then the arms will be there. The first thing that I would like you to do is to remove these 4 points, these 4 corners. Remove them from the total number of rows that you made. In my case, I made 100 rows. I'll remove these 4 corners, so it will remain 96 stitches. It means that apart from these 4 corner stitches, I have 96 stitches that I can work with. But how do I distribute those 96 stitches between the sleeves and the 2 panels? The rule will be to allocate 5/8 to the panels and then 3/8 to the sleeves. If I take the example of my case, I have 96 stitches that I want to distribute. I'll allocate 5/8. That is 96 multiplied by 5 divided by 8. It gives 60, which means that each panel will have 30 stitches, roughly speaking. Now the arms, I said we will allocate 3/8 to it, so 96 multiplied by 3 divided by 8, that is 36. So 36 stitches for the 2 sleeves. To get how many stitch one sleeve will have, I'll divide that by 2, 18 stitches. Roughly speaking, I'm saying roughly speaking because I'm going to work with the granny stitch and I will need my sleeves or the panels to be worked with a multiple of 4. If you are lucky and you already have multiple of 4s, I mean if your front panel as we computed on your back panel on the sleeves, they are already giving a multiple of 4 for the number of stitch, then you're lucky, it's good. You don't have anything else to do. The next step of the explanation is not for you. But if, like in my case, your results are not a multiple of 4, you have to kind of adjust that to make sure that your panels on your sleeves will be worked with a multiple of 4. In my case, I had 30 stitches, right, for the front and the back panels. Either I will add 2 to get 32 stitches, which is a multiple of 4, or I will remove 2, that is 28, to have a multiple of 4. I will recommend removing 2. That means that finally my panels, each of them will have 28 stitches, and then my sleeves, I'll add the 2 to them. So instead of having 18 stitches allocated to the arms, they will rather become 20. I hope you get the gymnastic that I just made. The idea is to come up with multiple of 4s for the sleeves and also for the panels. Enough of math. Let's go back to crochet now. So now that I have a good idea of where to place my markers, I'll remove them to place them properly. Well, the first marker is where we did the slip stitch, so that will be our first corner. From there I will count 28 stitches to make the panel, the first panel. So we are not counting where the stitch marker is, you count from the next stitch. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 27 28, and then the stitch marker will come into the next stitch, so the stitch 29. Well, now this is the first panel. I will count 20 to make the first sleeve. Again, don't count where we place the stitch marker, count from the next stitch. 1 2 3 4 18 19 20, and I will mark 21 as the next corner, right? And last, I'll count again 28 to mark the next, the second panel. We will start with the first sleeve, and the sleeve starts with a V-stitch. To do the V-stitch, chain 3, and into that same place, yarn over and do a double crochet. That's our first V. After the V-stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, into the following make a double crochet, and make a double crochet in the next 2. So we have 1 space, 3 double crochets in the next 3 stitches, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and do 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. After this, 3 chain 1, skip 1 stitch, into the following 3 make double crochets. Again, chain 1, skip, into the next 3 double crochet. One more time, chain 1, skip, into the next 3 double crochet. After this cluster of 3, we now have the stitch marker, which is where the next V-stitch is going to be. So chain 1, and we will make 1 V-stitch where the marker is. Yarn over and do 1 double crochet into that stitch where the marker is, chain 1, and do another double crochet right there. So we have the V-stitch that is created. Chain 1, and we resume our clusters. So after chaining 1, skip the next stitch, the stitch after the marker, skip it, and into the following 3 make double crochets. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch, into the next 3 double crochet. Keep repeating that. Chain 1, skip 1, into the next 3 double crochet. You do that until you are ready to do the next V stitch where the next marker is. Good, I'm at a stitch marker again, which means I have to place a V stitch. I'll chain one and then into where the stitch marker is, one double crochet, one chain, another double crochet into the same stitch, so the V is created, chain one, and we will now start the next sleeve. Yeah, so until now I did one sleeve, one panel, so I'm left with one sleeve and one panel. Yeah, so repeat the same thing. You continue with your 3 clusters, chain one, skip one until you get to the stitch marker. You do one V stitch there and you continue until the next stitch marker where I will meet you. At the end, when you finish your last cluster of 3, chain one and slip stitch into the V, the first V. So go inside and slip stitch. We just finished this first row. To start the next row, chain 3, turn your work, and into that same V, yeah, inside the V, make a double crochet to create the V for the next row. After the V, now chain one, and we will now work into the spaces for this row. So into this space right there, make 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3 into the same space. Chain 1 into the next space, 3 double crochets. Again, chain 1 into the next space, 3 double crochets. And repeat that until I meet you at the next V stitch. So every time chain 1 and do your 3 double crochets into the space. Last one, chain 1, 3 double crochet into the space, and we are again at a V stitch. Chain 1, inside the V, make another V. So first 1 double crochet, chain 1, and into the same V right there again, another double crochet. So we create a V inside the V. Chain 1 and make your clusters of 3 inside the spaces. So 3 double crochets into the next space, chain 1, go to the next space and continue the cluster of 3 until the next V. So next cluster, done, chain 1, I now have a V. I'll do a V inside, so 1 double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet inside, and we continue again with our clusters of 3 inside the spaces. until you get to your next V-stitch, where you do another V-stitch inside, then move on with the clusters, with the granny stitch, and I will meet you at the end. I am now working my last cluster of the row. I'll chain one and then slip stitch inside the V that is at the beginning. So slip stitch. So we have our sleeves growing and then the panels that are also growing. To start the next row, chain 3, turn the work, and right in the V make a double crochet, which is to create another V at the beginning. Chain 1, and inside the spaces do again clusters of 3. So basically we are repeating the previous row. When you meet a V, do a V inside, keep working like that until you have enough space for the sleeves. And how do you know that you have enough space for your arms or for the sleeve? Well, the easiest way is to try it on, wear it, and see if you have enough space for your arms. Otherwise, you can also measure, let me show you. You can also measure this, which is the arm, yeah? Oh, let me turn it so that it's not confusing. So if you have it like this, you have the arms this way, you have to measure from the start to the end, from the start to the end of the arm vertically like this, and see if you have the measurement around your shoulder. So take the measurement around your shoulder and then try to get that same measurement for the arm. Once you get that, you're sure that you probably have enough for your arm. Otherwise, easiest way, try it on and see. And you will see that as you are going, the number of clusters will be increasing. For example, for the panel, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clusters in the first row. The next row I have 8, and then the third row I have 9. So it will be growing like that until you decide that you have enough for your arm space, and you stop, and that's when I will meet you again to start working on the body. This is my last row, my last cluster before separating the body from the sleeves. So when you get there, after the cluster, chain 1, and then instead of doing the slip stitch only through this V, we will bring 2 V together. Yeah, the 2 V's that define the sleeve, we'll bring them together and slip stitch through both of them. Go through the 2 of them and slip stitch. Alright, after slip stitching, we now have the sleeve there and the body separated. Now slip stitch again in the first piece, the top layer, slip stitch in the next space. So here is the V, into the next space, do a slip stitch to find yourself into that space. Now chain 2, this counts as a double crochet, yarn over and do 2 double crochets. So we resume our clusters. Oops. Yeah, so 2 double crochets. Yeah, and this becomes our first cluster of the row. Chain 1 and continue doing your clusters until we reach the next V and we will join there as well to create the second sleeve. This is my last cluster before the next V. After the cluster, chain 1, and this time instead of slip stitching, we will bridge through the V's to find ourselves into the next space to do the next cluster. So yarn over, yeah, ready to start a double crochet, go through the V, then go through the V at the other side as well, turn your work a little bit so that you can insert your hook into the next space of the body, then bring the yarn out and make a double crochet. Now into that same space, yarn over and do 2 double crochets. So that way we join the V's to create the sleeve, and we created at the same time a new cluster to continue our work. From here, chain 1 and continue doing your clusters as we were doing since the beginning until you get again, you find yourself again at the beginning of the row. This is my last space where I'm working the last cluster, chain 1, and now we will join on top of the 2 chains that we made at the beginning. So join with a slip stitch, and this ends the first row of the body. Now chain 2, turn the work. If you don't turn the work, your sewing point or your joining point will shift as you are going. So turn the work and do 2 double crochets in the space, and this creates the first cluster of the row. Chain 1 and work your clusters until you find yourself again at the end of the row, and you repeat the process. Yeah, at the end, join into the 2 chains, turn your work, chain 2, and then make 2 double crochets inside the space. So we work in a round like this until you get your desired length for the sweater, and I will meet you to start working on the sleeves. So this is one of my sleeves. This is the armpit, and we have 1 V and the second V on the other side. This is 1 V, reattach your yarn in the space next to the V. Yarn reattached, then make 2 chains that will count as a double crochet. Now right inside that same space, make 2 double crochets, and this is 1 cluster. Chain 1, inside the next space make another cluster of 3 double crochets, and it goes on as we did for the body until I meet you at the end. At the end, work the last cluster inside the space before the V. After the last cluster, chain 1 and join in the 2 chains that we did at the beginning. Join with a slip stitch. Good. Now chain 2, turn the work, and we work in a round like we did for the body. So right inside the space, make 2 double crochets, chain 1, move to the next space, and repeat until you get the length that you want for the arm. To start the cuff, we'll make some decreases. Here we'll work only inside the first 2 stitches. So start with a single crochet in that very place where we just joined. So 1 single crochet there. Move to the next stitch, which is the second double crochet of the cluster. Make a single crochet there. Then skip the 3rd double crochet on the space and go directly into the next cluster. So first double crochet of the next cluster, make a single crochet there. Second double crochet, make also a single crochet on top of it. Skip the last double crochet, skip as well this space, and then on top of the first double crochet of the next cluster, make a single crochet. So like that, repeat a single crochet on top of the first 2 double crochets, skip the last double crochet, skip the space, and repeat until the end. Work the last cluster and then slip stitch into the first stitch of the row. Well, now make 5 chains. Into the second one, make a single crochet and repeat single crochets in the other 3. Good. Now slip stitch into the next stitch at the base. Yeah, slip stitch into the next stitch and make another slip stitch again into the following stitch. So 2 slip stitches. Now chain 1, done, and into the first stitch. If you want, you can count to make sure you are into the right stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Into that stitch, make a back loop, single crochet, and repeat back loop single crochets into the other 3 stitches. Now chain 1, done, and make 4 back loop single crochets. Slip stitch at the base into the next stitch that you have, slip stitch, and make again a second slip stitch. Chain 1, done, and repeat the process. At the end, after the last row, chain 1 and we will slip stitch the 2 edges together. So get the back loop on one side, try to get the back loop on the second side, the second edge, and slip stitch. Do the same thing for the other stitches. Great, and there we have the cuff. Weave in your ends, and that is it. We have the sleeve ready. Before doing the ribbons, we will make some decreases. Start with a single crochet in that very place where we just joined, then do single crochets on top of the other 2 stitches of the cluster. So 3 single crochets, skip the space on top of the next double crochet, 1 single crochet, and repeat single crochet on top of all the clusters, the double crochets of the cluster, skip the space and repeat. We are just making a small decrease by skipping the space every time. At the end, slip stitch into the first single crochet. Now chain 5 and into the second chain make a single crochet. If like me you have this space, this hole in the armpit, in one of the armpits, you can close it with a piece of yarn or use the tail of the yarn when you reattached to start the sleeve. So take the piece of yarn, pass it through the needle, and then try just to join and close it. Yeah, as simple as that. And there you have it. Then make a knot, secure it with a knot, maybe a second knot to be sure that it's well secured. And there you have it. Just hide this tail and it's done. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.